Let's be honest. Most people would rather go to the dentist than sit through a dry, stressful financial seminar. But what if talking about money felt like a party instead? On Friday, May 1st, Crusaders for Change is bringing the 6th annual Tickle My Money Bone back to Baltimore. We're ditching the financial stress and bringing you cocktails, delicious bites, a live DJ, a hilarious comedy show, and an after party. We're completely removing the stigma around talking about money. Whether you're looking to level up your personal finances or your business is looking for an unforgettable sponsorship opportunity, this is the room you want to be in. Early bird tickets are live right now through April 3rd, and they always go fast. Head to crusaders4change.org/TMMB to grab your spot before they're gone. Again, that's crusaders4change.org/TMMB. Come laugh and celebrate with us. I'll see you there. And what practices in the HR world have you streamlined to protect those most vulnerable workers at the front lines or on the front lines?
Definitely compliance. HR compliance is always important. And that includes everything from harassment to if you're stressed, what do you do? I even do this in our training. You come home from work, one of our HR people is a personal trainer. Here are some stretching exercises you can do. Don't forget that you have to take care of you, which is not necessarily cultural for the people who work with us, before you can take care of others.
Ever felt those awkward vibes when religion and money come up? You're not alone. Welcome to Yahweh's Money, the podcast where we tackle the crossroads of faith and finance. I'm Shay Cook, an accredited financial counselor and the CEO and founder of Crusaders for Change, LLC. Join us on our journey as we discuss topics like tithing, saving, and conquering debt through religious perspectives. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Yahweh's Money. Today we're going to be talking about honoring the hands that heal, bridging the gap between luxury care and caregiver struggle with Michele Thorburn. And we're going to introduce her in a little bit. So the heart of home care is often found in the hands of those who have traveled the furthest to be there. For many of our geriatric or certified geriatric assistants and caregivers, the mission isn't just a job, it's a lifeline. They're navigating a dual reality, providing world-class care to those with means, while personally navigating the complexities of being an immigrant in a challenging modern environment. Today, we're joined by a leader who understands these complexities from the inside out. Michele Thorburn brings over 20 years of global HR expertise and a deep multilingual perspective to the table. We're discussing how the heart of a caregiver and the strategy of a leader can bridge the gap between providing a service and honoring human life. So today's scripture is focused in Leviticus 19:34. The stranger who dwells among you shall be to you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Lord your God. The Bible is clear. The stranger or the immigrant is not an outsider to be mingled or managed, but a neighbor to be loved as ourselves. And the world of home care, our caregivers often these strangers in a new land. To honor God in this business means ensuring that those who care for our elderly are themselves cared for diligently and with dignity and equity and belonging. So again, welcome, Michele.
Thank you.
To the podcast. So great to have you here. You're a strategic.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Human Resources Director with a global soul, proficient in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and you spent over 2 years streamlining functions and advocating for the employees. So tell us more about your journey.
So I came here when I was 14 with my mother and my brother, understanding that how culturally things are completely different here and what that looks like, and not having extended family. It was just the two of us. And then my grandparents who were living somewhere else and missing them, and starting from an early age, realizing that there are no older people around me. My grandparents are around me. No one's around me. And going to my first year of college, deciding that I want to do something in a nursing home. And I started an adopt a grandparent program.
Oh, wow.
And that was the beginning of my journey, understanding that we can find family. It just looks different.
Exactly. You're not necessarily born with your family, related to them. It just comes through life and experiences. I know being a military spouse, traveling all around the world, I've made a lot of extended family members.
Yes.
So, yes, yes. Wow. All right. Let's get into our rapid fire question.
Take your seat, let the wisdom inherit. Let's hit the rapid fire questions. Say what's on your spirit. Take your seat, let the wisdom inherit. Let's hit the rapid fire questions. Say what's on your spirit.
All right, with 20 years in HR, what is the one myth about immigrant workers that you are most passionate about debunking?
The fact that they're lazy.
Yes.
They are the hardest working, most compassionate group of people that I've worked with. They're incredible.
That's good. And I've seen the same living in Turkey and in Germany and other places. And they are, whether here in this country of America or outside of it, there's some hardworking people all around this world.
Absolutely.
And just because they look different than you doesn't mean that they're going to work as hard or harder. All right. So you love the strength of women in India. What is one trait from those women that you see in the caregivers at Assisting Hands?
I love the strength of women, period, worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's India or Ethiopia or Turkey, as you said, which I found absolutely amazing myself.
Yeah.
Caregivers have that strength. Women have that strength worldwide. And they bring that strength with them when they come. And they're loving and compassionate cultures which embrace the elderly, which is so important to our community.
Yes, that's wonderful. I love that. All right. And in a difficult environment, what is the first thing an organization loses when they forget about belonging?
So what we have to understand is that, and I try to help the caregivers understand, is that you do belong here.
Mm-hmm.
And without you here, we are nothing.
Amen.
This is such an important group of people that do extraordinary work. Belonging breaks down a company if it's not visible. So it's highly important to me that they feel a part of the company and that we understand and they understand that we are there for them and that we support them.
I love that. That's inclusion. They want to feel included
Yes, absolutely.
as part and belonging. So that's amazing. So I know I've worked in different settings, like I said, with the military and different cultures and religious backgrounds and all the things. And people are just people. And we just want to be cared for. We want people to treat us kind and just, like you said, belong. And if you're there and you're really interested, sometimes people are just in a job just for the money. But a lot of people are there for the passion and the work.
And our caregivers is certainly for the passion. And they are amazing at it. And as I said, I think that's very cultural. Most of our caregivers come from cultures that their elderly are the most important thing to them. And it comes naturally to be able to take care of the elderly, which in this culture is a little bit different. So I think that's where it's such a perfect fit.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Well, thank you for that rapid fire question. So let's get into our main discussion, starting with the caregiver's paradox. Let's discuss the tension of caregivers who provide high-end care for wealthy clients and beneficiaries while facing their own financial and cultural hurdles as immigrants. They're still people too, and now they're having to deal with somebody who might think they're above them and all that. So what have you seen in your world, and how are, the caregivers and providers dealing with that?
They navigate it beautifully. They're very patient. They end up being part of the family. One would never think that it would be such a connection. But when you come from a culture and you're taken away from all your norms and your families, you're here with the older generation. You're establishing your new type of family. Families are so diverse, and we can pick our own families. I've done that. I've picked and choose my own family since I only had my brother and my mother here. And then my brother left for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was me. And that's what I always tell everybody. We can choose and pick our family. It may look different, but we still have a loving, giving perspective to give to other people and an understanding. And we also have to look at the diversity of cultures. Just because you're from Africa doesn't mean we're all the same. East Africa and West Africa are completely different.
Totally.
Turkey and Iran are completely different. None of these cultures, very few of them are monolithic. So we have to look at it in Asian cultures. We have to look at each individual and work with them so that they can understand our philosophy at assisting hands, and then they can be successful.
Yeah. And let's talk about the financial piece of it all. Everybody deals with finances, money management, whether it's debt, credit, very differently in different cultures. But what have you seen some of the trends working with the immigrants or the...
It's very much dependent on the spouse. If they are females. Money is run by the spouse. Many of them work because they have to. A lot of them are single mothers like the rest of us. A lot of them are married, and the financial aspects of things are handled through the spouse or through their children who are here, first-generation Americans that understand the system a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that part is difficult. It's difficult explaining things like 401k. And technology. So there is navigating that, but there's also my trying to educate them and to help them out as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, yeah. And what about religion and faith? We were talking about this before we got on here, that we both study religion and believe there's one God, but everybody practices different. I'm sure now that is a part of the workplace as well.
Absolutely. I was telling my crew today, we need to remember when our caregivers are coming in from training and it's Ramadan. They haven't eaten all day. Their energy is low. How do we react? We provide lunch. Do we not provide lunch on that day? What does that culturally look like? Do we even want to train during Ramadan?
Good question.
If someone is Lent and giving up sugar, that right there is the same thing, the lack of energy for your giving up sugar. So we have to look at all aspects of culture and finances and just embrace and educate.
Yeah, I love that. Embrace and educate. And that's what Michele said. I believe it. So I know in your job of HR, you're also advocating for people as well, right? And you have a philosophy.
Absolutely. My entire life.
Let's talk more about that advocacy. What are you most proud of?
So it started, like I said, when I came here and decided to do an adopt a grandparent program to advocate for the elderly and to understand how the family nuclear system here is so different than it is in most other cultures. And then advocating for female rights, minority rights from the beginning with DEI and other forms. I've always been passionate about minority rights and letting people understand history and letting people know the strength of women and how important education is worldwide for women so that we can move forward and be independent.
Exactly. Education is key. And a lot of countries are not as privileged as this country to have education, even though we still have a long way to go compared to other countries. There are countries like in the Middle East and stuff that don't allow their young girls to learn. Yeah. Or even in some parts of Africa and beyond. So where did you grow up at? Where did you spend the most time at?
I spent most of my younger years in Brazil.
Oh, okay.
And some of them also in Colombia. And then we moved here when I was 14. So I grew up in South America. And then my family's lived as well elsewhere. India, I've been to a couple of times and I've worked in India, which I absolutely love. And Turkey, as you mentioned, is probably one of my favorite countries in the world. The first woman to ever build a mosque, architect, is from Turkey.
Yeah.
Always advocating for women and for elderly and for human rights.
Yeah, because we all deserve, and equality is important. Like you said, DEI, diversity is super important, and inclusion. I mean, all of it is important.
And having individuals understand what that means, because I don't think there's an understanding of it. And with the era that we're in right now, I can see there's not an understanding of what that means.
Yeah, exactly. And what did somebody say recently? If you want to sell to a diverse population, you got to have diversity in your company, so you can't,
Absolutely.
so I know how you think one or the other is not going to be right. I mean, in order to be able to sell to those people, really understand people of all walks of life, that has to be represented.
And the world is so small now.
Mm,
It's like, let's embrace the fact that we can be
yeah,
together.
yeah, exactly.
80 years ago, that it wasn't even possible. So now it's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And what practices in the HR world have you streamlined to protect those most vulnerable workers at the front lines or on the front lines?
Definitely compliance. HR compliance is always
Mm,
important. And that
yeah.
includes everything from harassment to if you're stressed, what do you do? I even do this in our training. You come home from work, one of our HR people is a personal trainer. Here are some stretching exercises you can do. Don't forget that you have to take care of you, which is not
Hmm.
necessarily cultural for the people who work with us, before you can
Yeah.
take care of others. So
So true.
letting them know that we are here, we're instituting an EAP program to help them out a little bit more. There'll be more education on that. Just having them know that we have their backs. We have rewards programs for them. We celebrate them.
I love that. There's a lot of places of work that still don't have that, and they're very toxic. I've worked in them from the government to private sector, corporate, where it's just all about just put them in that rat race to make sure they make the dollar and make the money for the company and forget about there's a whole person there that you have to consider.
Our owner knows our caregivers.
Mm,
And at any given time, we have at least 250. And he
wow.
is just, they love him.
Mm.
And that leadership transcends throughout the entire organization. It's just a blessing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Not all of us have that, so
No.
I'm glad to hear that. So, all right, so let's talk about the language of compassion, how being multilingual and global changes the way you lead and mentor to diverse workforce. Tell us the story about you mentoring to your workforce, to a one person.
So, to one person,
Hmm.
one of the young ladies who works with me is from a culture that I was not that familiar with. And it's in Asia, Middle East. So, getting to know her and how she feels and thinks and what things look like, and trying to empower her as a woman who is not necessarily taken on the role that women need in this culture, because it's a little bit more difficult to navigate in this culture. And so being patient, educating her every moment I can, sending her off, calling her in, giving her lots of love, giving her support, all of it.
Yeah. And who did that for you, Michelle?
I was very lucky. When I first came here, I was mentored by an Indian, Dr. Vijay Chauhan,
Hmm.
who took me into his house and was like a second father to me when my father was not available. And he literally changed my perspective on family, life, and love.
Wow. 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 And now you're sharing and paying the way forward for other people. Yeah. I love that.
And I have done that for my godchildren, and the young people that I mentor that have worked with me are still in my circle and still my friends, and I'm still always in contact with them. I think young people are incredible.
Yes, they are. Complicated souls, but they are incredible. And they need us to, and we needed, the people behind us and to uplift us. And because we're up on everything, like they always say, we're on somebody's shoulders. Somebody's built this point so we could be, my ancestors that I recently found out are from Benin and Togo, Nigeria and Mali. And I never knew until 2 weeks ago that my family was from West Africa, even though my daughter would say, my ancestors were enslaved. Of course they were from West Africa. I'm like, well, it was nice to know that where region they were from. I never knew that. And to finally know that, and then I stand on their shoulders and all of the blood, sweat, and tears and deaths and all the good and bad that
Hmm.
they went through to get us, not to get us here. We were enslaved, I'm sure. I know that to be true, but to honor their legacy. And that's very important to be able to pass that on to my daughter and nieces and nephews and everybody I've worked with over the last 30 some years is really important to me to pass that on.
And that part of us is Afro-Caribbean. And so we're teaching our nieces and nephews now what that looks like and how that is different from African American.
Yeah.
It's a very different history,
Hmm.
also a very rich history.
Yeah.
And so we also have a lot of caregivers that are from the
The
islands, which
islands.
I connect to like automatically, which is just lovely.
Oh, that's awesome. So why did you choose Assisting Hands, and how does the company's philosophy manifest in the way it treats a caregiver on a rainy Tuesday?
I actually think Assisting Hands chose me.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
As I mentioned, I was in women's health for years. And then as I started looking again, I just wanted to do something with the elderly. And I wasn't sure what that looked like or how it was going to manifest itself. I just kept looking at environments that had positions that were open, working with the elderly. I'm like, this is what I want to go back to. And I received a call from Assisting Hands, and the rest is history.
Wow. How long you been there?
3 years last month.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it seems like you really love it.
I love
you
it.
enjoy the community. Yeah.
I think this is the happiest I've ever been. I see the amazing work that we do. The clients are it's just an incredible environment.
Oh, that's lovely. And that's what we all deserve, right?
Yes.
To do something that you're passionate about, and obviously we need money as a tool to get us from A to Z a lot of times, A to B sometimes. But that money situation is really important. Let's talk about your journey with money though. Like, what lessons have you learned over the years about money management?
So my journey with money was not a fun one. We went from being pretty affluent to moving here to the States to really not having any money. And then to having a single mom who didn't know how to manage money.
Mm-hmm.
And a language barrier for years too, for me, and not so much for my brother. And a mother who took the money and kept it instead of even really helping her children out with it, because there was so much fear behind not having money and navigating a whole new system that she had never really navigated in over 35 years, and what that looked like growing up in that environment. So as a result, when I started making money, I had no idea how to save it, how to spend it. So because the culture doesn't teach us, you get these credit cards, you get in debt, and there's that fear of like, well, if I don't spend it, what if I lose it again?
Exactly.
Whereas my brother was the opposite. He's like, well, if I get it and spend it, what if I lose it? His philosophy was very different from mine, and his life was a very different trajectory than mine. And then once again, I had this wonderful mentor come into my life, and she's like, you need to start a savings for retirement. And I'm like, what if I don't get there? And she's like, you need to start a savings for retirement. And so that's where my journey started, trying to get out of debt, severe debt, having my own business and combining my business with my personal life instead of separating the two was another financial journey that I had to work through. And it was a process.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow. And now you're on the other side?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. I was making sure.
Yes.
Thank God. Yeah. A lot of us are either just beginning.
Yes, retirement. I can see it.
Good. Well, thank you to the mentors that you listened. Also, thank to yourself as we're listening.
And that's why when I do talk to the caregivers, I'm like, I get, that there are difficult financial situations. Everybody, most people are in a difficult financial situation.
Yeah.
But it is so important. The same thing with, accidental insurance. I use myself as an example. I broke my collarbone the 1 year I didn't have the insurance.
Oh, man.
So what does that look like? So I am passionate about doing my best to help them with finances.
Oh, wow. And you also have real life experiences to share and to speak from. Some people are, more on the influence side, or just, enabled by parents or whatever the situation may be. They don't really understand. But when you can speak from real life, raw experiences, I think that really opens people up to listen to you.
Yes.
As well. So,
and having helped and mentored a bunch of young people in my life that are pretty much like my children. And same thing with money. Like, how do we navigate if you have a 1-bedroom and you have 3 kids, or, what does that look like? So it's been a journey.
Yeah. That's what life is. It's a journey.
And there's fear behind it, which a lot of women experience. Am I going to be homeless when I retire? That's a huge thing in this culture.
Yeah.
And I think that's in the back of a lot of our minds. What is that going to look like? How am I going to live if it's just Social Security? And I haven't been able to save.
Exactly.
or I have medical bills.
Exactly. That is so real, Michelle, because a lot of people don't understand that Social Security was never supposed to be that one source of income for in retirement. I know when I was working for the military, it's like it was either like a 3-legged stool. That was supposed to be one of the legs, right? Of your own investments and then your 401k or however you mix that. But a lot of people only have that one leg
Yep.
of the stool and are like leaning about to fall out, like you said, and it might lean into homelessness or having a family member to take care of them or having to work until they die
Yeah.
because they don't have the other 2 legs or they just
Yeah.
don't have the support that they need. Yeah.
And if you have the capabilities to work until you die, that's fine if that's what you choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't, we should be able to be taking care of our people and have them give back.
Yeah.
The amount of things that we can learn are just incredible. And the
Yeah.
nurses that I work with are they're another group of godsends.
Mm. And you too have had your own journey with taking care of your parents as they were aging?
I have.
Yeah. Tell
Yeah,
us more
because my
about
brother
that.
was not here when my mother
Okay.
got sick.
Mm-hmm.
It was very stressful. It was me and myself. And it was difficult. Navigating work and taking care of her was just, sometimes I don't know how I managed it.
Oh, wow.
And then when my father got sick, he had family and he did have my sister, and we would fly back and forth, taking turns going to Florida because the two of them had very different life experiences and were completely different and wanted very different things in their death.
Oh, wow.
So learning what they need and how to accommodate that to make them happy in their last moments of life.
Wow.
And hospice, God bless hospice.
Yeah. God bless hospice. It's so true.
And that was also Steve's journey, looking at his parents and Kathy's parents and being like, we can do something. We have to do something in this society to help the elderly.
Mm. Oh, and that's how Assistant Hands was formed.
Yeah. I mean, we have to do something to help the elderly because if we're the sandwich generation and we're taking care of our kids and having to work 2 and 3 jobs, and it's just not easy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And,
wow.
and this culture, these people who come from these cultures it's just in them because that is their culture.
It's to take care of each other until they die. Yeah. I think America was like that at one time. We kind of lost that. And, and now we're realizing we're paying the cost.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. Because back in the day, it was like, communities of whatever culture, they knew they had to take care of their elderly, of their seniors. And then that fell off somewhere. I'm sure there's a
then
timeline
it just
out there.
became me, myself, and I. And it's just,
exactly. Yeah.
And we have such great diversity. I mean, and also being passionate, about DEI. I'm a member of a group that that participates all across the U.S. and Canada. And we're still trying to do our work to advocate for, equality, the land that we stand on. What did that feel like? Who is that? So, yeah, a lot of important work.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all of that work because we need more people like you in the world, Michelle, because a lot of people, like you said, there's still a lot of selfishness out in the world. And my husband talks about that a lot. He's like, there's so much selfishness. People just don't care about people like they used to. And that's why there's so much strife and so much war, so much everything out there because they're more worried about power and money and themselves.
Exactly. And when I first moved here, it was much more cultural and community, like you said. And that has just gone by the wayside. I mean, the world used to say, look how nice Americans are. Who says that now?
We're still nice as them other ones. I worry about going to other countries and how they are going to look at us.
For me, traveling to other countries, it's been a blessing because I've traveled the entire world by myself. And the way I look, it's like, well, you're super tall, but you kind of look like us. So it's a perplexing thing, but it's one that is like, oh, well, she's French or she's this or she's, I've been blessed with being able to travel and feeling comfortable all these years by myself. And the world and the women have absolutely embraced me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I have to say, I mean, I've traveled some by myself, some not with my husband and, other family members. And too have been embraced by many cultures that look very different from me.
Yes.
It's just now with the day and time of America. But I think they're smart. People are smart, like you said earlier. They're beautiful people. They're complex. They're complicated, but they know that we don't all represent what they see.
And that's what the great thing
Yeah.
about having a small world.
Mm,
You know, it's not all the same.
exactly.
It's not all what we hear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. All righty. Well, according to a report by PHI, the Paraprofessional Healthcare Institute, immigrants make up roughly 25 to 30% of direct care workforce in the United States. Furthermore, many of these essential workers live in low-income households, with nearly half of all direct care workers relying on some form of public assistance. This highlights the vital need for HR leaders like Michele, who view fair treatment not as an elective, but a core business and moral requirement. So in the world of home care, we often focus so much on the comfort of the client, and we overlook the sacrifice of people or a person providing the comfort. Michele's conversation reminds us that functional excellence isn't just about paperwork, it's about people. It's about ensuring that the immigrant woman who leaves her own family to care for yours is seen, protected, and empowered. And when we lead with the humanitarian philosophy Michele champions at Assisting Hands, we aren't just running a business. We're honoring the divine indignity of every worker. We are proving that in this house, everyone belongs. So any final thoughts, Michele?
No, just to say once again that I feel blessed to have found Assisting Hands. And I think those of us who work there, from the owner to our wonderful caregivers, to our CNA field supervisors, we're just grateful and are here to help our clients who are also very grateful.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was amazing. And I have a call to action for all you guys listening today. If you employ or work alongside immigrants, take a moment this week to learn one specific detail about the home culture or their journey to this country. Acknowledging their whole self is the first step toward true belonging. And then pray for strangers among us. Specifically ask for protection and peace for the immigrant caregivers who are balancing the heavy emotional toll and labor of home care with the stress of the current and social economic environment. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Michele. That was an excellent conversation. I really enjoyed you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
A big thank you for listening to this episode. We hope you found today's chat about the intersection of religion and money insightful. We would love to hear your feedback. Hit that subscribe button or follow the podcast. And please feel free to leave us a review. For the latest Yahweh's Money content, visit us at crusaders4change.org or find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Until next time, stay financially fit and spiritually inspired. And remember, it's always better Yahweh's way.